if I can share my screen. Okay, can everyone see my screen? So I'm going to move forward. Now, before I talk about collagen, I really want to talk the trifactor collagen product. I really want to talk about what collagen is, right? For those of you who've heard about it but not exactly sure what it is, let's spend a little bit of time just first understanding what collagen is and why it's so important. Well, the first aspect of collagen is it's the most abundant protein in our body. And that's really an important aspect because when you think about all of our organs, our skin is one of our largest organs. And of course, collagen is present in our skin. Collagen, actually, the word is a Greek word, and it comes from kala, and kala means the glue. And that's really what holds our whole body together is collagen. Now, it's very basic in the structure. It's in our connective tissues. It's found in our skin, in our muscle, in our cartilage, ligaments, tendons. It's found in our skeleton. It's even found in our teeth. And so it's a very, very important protein and peptide within our body. Now, when we think about collagen in the skin, collagen actually makes up about 70% of the proteins that are in our skin. It gives our skin support, it gives it elasticity, it gives it firmness. And what we find is as we age, the collagen levels actually decrease in our bodies, and that results in the visual hallmarks of aging, things like fine lines and wrinkles, skin loosening, firmness, and elasticity. And so it's a very important component within our skin. When we think about it in our hair and nails, it also plays a very, very important role. For hair, it actually strengthens the hair follicles. That's the skin right before the growth of the hair comes out of our skin. And it actually regulates our hair growth as well as giving our hair its color. And so it's a very important component within our hair. And in terms of damaged hair, it actually helps coat the damaged hair strands. It helps penetrate deeply into our hair and actually restore moisture as well as repair split ends. So very, very important component of the health of our hair. Same thing for our nails. Collagen is the major protein that are in our nail beds. So when you think about issues with our nails, like brittle nails or damaged nail beds, collagen is a very important part of our nails. It helps them grow. It helps improve their appearance. And we know anecdotally from people who are already taking products that, including Kelly, that they see very, very quick, very fast improvements in their nails and in their hair and, of course, in their skin. And we'll talk a little bit about that here in a second. But before we do, let's talk first, to understand collagen, let's talk about the types of things that what I call steal collagen, right? What hurts our skin? What steals the collagen that hurts the health of our skin and our hair and our nails? And probably the biggest factor, which is one that I would call an intrinsic factor, is really aging. So when you think about collagen, as you age, collagen in your youngest years, right, when your skin, your hair, your nails are at their best, in your younger years, in the 20s and 30s, it's where collagen, the fibers are very healthy. You've got a lot of vasculature, a lot of vascular tissue that allows you to get these nutrients into your skin and your hair and your nails. But as you age, collagen fibers start to harden, they start to reduce. The vascular tissue, the blood vessels in our skin, those start to decrease and diminish. And so you start to see these visual hallmarks of aging, which are fine lines and wrinkles and loss of elasticity and firmness. And a lot of that is due to aging. We also have a number of different, what I would consider extrinsic variables that affect collagen. And one of the big ones is UV light. Ultraviolet light coming from sun, coming from lighting equipment, computers, phones, that actually degrades the collagen that is in our bodies and in our skins. And that has a profound effect in terms of collagen synthesis as well. We also have another extrinsic variable, free radicals, right? So when you think about free radicals, you think about environmental exposure to smog and pollution. Those are heavy and laden with free radicals, which actually affect the health of our cells. And so it makes them age almost in a premature way. And so it has a very negative effect on collagen and subsequent on our skin. One of the interesting aspects that a lot of people don't think about is our diet actually has an effect on the health of our skin and our sugar and refined carbs. And in a way, it kind of affects you from an inside-out approach, because what happens is as you take in more sugar and more refined carbs, they react with these collagen peptides. This is called the Maillard reaction, and it reacts with them in a negative way, and it makes these collagens become very stiff and malformed. And so it has a very negative effect on our collagen in our bodies. And so now let's talk about For Life Trifactor Collagen. It's a very simple formula. There's only 4 ingredients, but they are very, as Kelly mentioned, they're best in class. We did a lot of research to make sure that we had the best collagen, the best ingredients out there. And of course, we have collagen from marine collagen. Kelly talked a little bit about that. It comes from 3 different areas around the world. There's actually 6 different types of fish. There's a wide variety of fish. We know variety is always a good thing when you're looking at ingredients. It also has For Life Trifactor. You've learned already a little bit about Trifactor. I'll talk a little bit more about that, give you a little bit more detail on why it's important in this product. And then, of course, we have vitamin E and vitamin C, and those are very important antioxidants. So it's a very simple formula. It's also a very powerful formula. And we'll learn why as we talk about each one of these ingredients. So the first and main ingredient is fish collagen. And what's special about this fish collagen is that it's hydrolyzed. And so what does that mean? Hydrolyzed means, and I'll talk a little bit more in detail, but we're actually taking these large proteins, these large collagen proteins, and breaking them up a little bit, because we want to make it easier for our body to absorb and to utilize. And if they're too big, it's really difficult for our body to utilize them in the way that we need to. As I mentioned, they come from marine source. It comes from the skin and from the scales. Now, these fish, they're a mixture of wild type fish as well as farm fed fish. So from a sustainability, we feel like we have a very good balance between sustainability, but also being able to have the benefits of nature, right? Of fish out in natural habitats. In this particular product, there's actually 5,000 milligrams of hydrolyzed collagen. What's interesting is that as we start to go through the clinical studies that were done on this ingredient, we actually find that the benefits are as low as 2,500 milligrams of hydrolyzed collagen, but yet we have double that amount. So you can imagine the benefits by having those large amounts of hydrolyzed collagen in each product. Now, let's talk a little bit more about hydrolyzed collagen. As I mentioned, collagen is a peptide, right? It's a big peptide that's in our body. It's the most abundant peptide in our body, but it's a very large peptide in our body. And what that means from the standpoint of a supplement is that when you have large peptides and proteins, those are very hard to digest, absorb, hard for our body to utilize. And so we move to this process called hydrolysis, right? And so we take these large collagen peptides and we hydrolyze them. We essentially break them down. We chop them up into smaller pieces, and now they're actually peptides. So they're not proteins, which are essentially very, very large peptides. They are now peptides. And if we keep going and we keep chopping them down into smaller and smaller pieces, then we get down to the level of amino acids, right? We all know what amino acids are, the building blocks of life. But unfortunately, if you break them down too, a lot of the information of that collagen that our body needs to understand where these peptides go, right? I mean, of course, in sports nutrition, we have a lot of amino acids, so they kind of go where the body needs it. But if we really want them to go to the areas that we want to focus on, like skin and hair and nails, we really need them in the kind of the peptide form. And there's a whole science to understanding the size of collagen and the composition of collagen, which we'll talk about here in a second, as it pertains to the health of your skin, hair, and nails. Of course, we also have vitamin C and vitamin E. As I mentioned, these are very, very strong antioxidants, and so they can neutralize those free radicals that you might have, these extrinsic variables that affect our collagen, that could steal our collagen, and so they're very important in that aspect. But they're also just essential vitamins, right? For people who are deficient, they know that their health of their skin and hair and nails is suboptimal because they're deficient in these vitamins, and so we wanted to put the optimum mixture of these vitamins in there to be able to support healthy skin, hair, and nails. And of course, when we think about collagen, all the wonderful benefits of collagen, we know that collagen is also useful for collagen synthesis, right? It's a cofactor for that synthetic reaction to create collagen within our bodies. And of course, vitamin E, it protects our skin from the harmful ultraviolet light, right? Again, there's another extrinsic variable that steals collagen, and so we have vitamin E in there as an antioxidant, but also as a way to protect our skin from ultraviolet light. And of course, probably the most differentiating ingredient that we have in our transfer factor collagen that no other collagen on the market has is, of course, transfer factor. And as you've learned from Eileen and from Kelly, transfer factor is really an intelligent immune molecule. And it's used to strengthen the skin's defense, because when we think about the skin really is an immunological organ, right? It's an organ that helps repel these health threats, these exposures that we are constantly day to day having to deal with. And so I'm going to dig a little bit more into that, and so that you can understand why it's important to have such an ingredient in this product. And so let's talk specifically about that, right? We face health threats every day, right? There's everyday health threats. Of course, the environment that we're in today, we're facing health threats. And so it's very, very important to have a strong immune system. And as Eileen mentioned earlier, the importance of a strong immune system was realized very, very early on in the creation of 4Life. And we believe that's a central tenet to overall health, is having a strong immune system. And it doesn't matter whether you're talking about all the different body systems, your immune system is intricately networked into all your different body systems. And so having a strong immune system is very, very key to having an overall healthy lifestyle, basically. And so I think Eileen mentioned this, and so I'll just talk about this briefly. Transfer factor was discovered over 60 years ago by Dr. Sherwood Lawrence, and he learned that you can get an immune system response that can be transferred from one person to another through this white blood cell extract. Now, at the time, he didn't really know what these were. He didn't really know that these were necessarily peptides or proteins. All he knew is that he had some sort of factor in this I call it hydrolyzed leukocyte extract, but you can also say a white blood cell extract, right? This is blood that's extracted from a person, and it goes through this dialysis, this filter that allows you to pull out these transfer factors, right? It's a factor, and we can transfer from one person to another to confer this immune benefit. And what's wonderful about this research was that David Lisenby discovered early on, recognizing that our immune system is a very key, important part of our overall health, that he could actually figure out a way. He found a way, a patent, to extract these transfer factors out of cow colostrum. And now remember, in that earlier video, we talked about, or it was talked about, how transfer factor can be utilized across species, right? So whether it's an animal or human, you still have those wonderful same benefits of transfer factor. And in our case, it's coming from cow colostrum as well as chicken egg yolk. Now, transfer factor in its form in transfer factor collagen is in what we call the trifactor formula. Now, the trifactor is a composition of ultrafactor, that's ultra-filtered cow colostrum to get transfer factor. The molecular weight on that is around 10,000 Daltons. We also have ovofactor. Ovofactor is transfer factor that comes out of chicken egg yolk, and nanofactor, and that's a very special fine filter that allows us to pull and extract transfer factors out of cow colostrum in a very, very proprietary, patented way that's exclusive to 4Life. And so in this product, we actually have 100 milligrams of transfer factor in the transfer factor collagen, again, for that immune benefit. Now, let's talk a little bit about the studies. We've done so many studies over the last 22 years on the benefits of transfer factor. And so I'm just going to show you a very, very small percentage of the different studies that we've done to show the benefits of transfer factor. This was a very interesting study because it really pertains to the benefits of transfer factor as it pertains to the skin. This was a study where we actually looked at T cells. T cells are a part of the adaptive immune system, right? We have an innate immune system, we have an adaptive immune system, and there's a number of different cells, immune cells, that have different functions that help support our overall immune system. T cells are an interesting one because they are part of this, as I said, adaptive immune system. And what they do is they actually can sometimes be a hindrance to our immune system. They can be overactive. And so we did a study looking at what effect does transfer factor have in an overactive immune system. And so when you look at this graph here, you can see on the very left, we have these helper T cells at rest, right? So they're sitting there, they're happy, they haven't really, they're just doing their thing. But what happens when we stimulate them, when we overstimulate them, they ramp up, they become very, very active, and sometimes they become very overactive. And so having an overactive immune system is just as bad as having an underperforming immune system. And in this case here, we've tried to recapitulate an overactive immune system by stimulating these T helper cells, and then saying what happens to these overactive immune cells, these T cells, when you actually treat them with transfer factor or various forces of transfer factor, calculus, and so on. And what we find is that these overactive T cells actually start to lower, they start to come down, they start to take an overactive immune system and bring it back into balance, right? So you can see them going back down to baseline where they're in kind of their happy state. And so the benefits of transfer factor in this case are that they take an overactive immune system and calm it down. Now, what's interesting about this study is that when you think about overactive immune systems, that manifests itself a lot of times in our skin. Right? Think about the irritation, the inflammation the skin has. It's because our immune system is overactive. And so here we have transfer factor that can calm down that overactive immune system, particularly in the case of skin. We also did another study where we actually showed transfer factor is bolstering our immune system. It's helping our immune system that might happen to be underperforming. And in this case, it's actually helping them recognize threats. And it's doing so by increasing the production of salivary IgA antibodies. And we know that when we're in the presence of threat, that our body produces antibodies. But what happens if it's not producing them enough to take care of that threat? Well, we have transfer factor that can recognize it, right? I mean, it's educating our immune cells to recognize these threats and then respond in a way that will help clear those threats from our body. And in this particular study, we actually had people taking transfer factor, and then we measured the amount of salivary IgA antibody, which is a very, very important antibody in our body. And we saw an increase of 73%, or up to 73%. We did a number of different studies, all of them increased. And so in this particular case, we're talking about up to a 73% increase of these salivary IgA antibodies to respond and recognize these threats that we face every day. And so why is transfer factor important in transfer factor collagen? Well, we talked again about how our skin is an immunological organ, right? We think about our skin, it's kind of a protective, right? It's our barrier for the health threats, the environmental threats that we have and that we face every day in everyday life. And our body recognizes that, and so it presents itself with over 20 billion T cells in the human skin. That's actually more T cells in our skin than in our blood. And there's a reason, right? Because it's our immunological organ. It's the first line of defense against all these health threats. And so you want to have a lot of immune cells, particularly T cells, in your skin to be able to ward off those threats. And what's interesting about these T cells, these are the T cells that we were talking about earlier when we had overactive helper T cells, is they have memory, right? They have memory. And that means that when they have memory, that means they can be educated. And as we talked earlier, transfer factor is an education molecule, right? It helps educate our immune system to the threats that are coming towards us or around us. And it helps us respond to those threats as well. Now, a couple other interesting tidbits about transfer factor is that, as I mentioned earlier, it modulates these overactive T cells, but the bovine colostrum, which we get transfer factor, has actually been shown to improve the growth rate of our skin cells, right, our fibroblasts. We also know that the ovofactor, the chicken egg yolk, has peptides that also stimulate hair growth. And so these are so many good reasons to have transfer factor in a product like this. And again, I just can't stress enough that transfer factor is in this product. Nobody else has transfer factor in their collagen, and so that's how we differentiate our product from everybody else.